Well, let's bring in David McCuan in Sonoma, California. He's a professor and chair of the Political Science Department at Sonoma University. Prof, good to have you on this program. Why is Joe Biden so concerned about this ruling? What does it mean for him and Democrats in a political sense?
Sure. If you think about the battle that's been going on from the Mississippi case, this Texas case, and where things are allowed to proceed, the legal processes that are allowed to move forward, Democrats are using this as a rallying cry for 2022 in the midterm elections. And given what we saw on the lead-in on the story, with the high court not likely to settle the Mississippi case until June, it's going to have a dramatic effect on those midterm elections next year in November. Republicans need only 5 votes to take over the House. They're well positioned to do okay in the Senate, where there's a basic 50-50 split. And that means you could see a fundamental change, if you're the Biden administration, from Democratic control of the House and the Senate to possibly Republican control. So the issue of abortion, Democrats are going to use, Republicans are going to use. And because this is going to spill out past 2022, what we saw today is also a presidential election, which is going to affect the dynamic around this culture war on abortion into the 2024 presidential campaigning period.
And this issue of abortion has been such a big one in the United States. What does this latest ruling also mean for Roe v. Wade? It's something that we hear about a lot in the U.S. It's a landmark 1973 Supreme Court decision legalizing abortion across the country. Is the eventual outcome the overturning of Roe v. Wade?
It certainly looks like over the last couple of weeks and months with these cases that this new court, headed by a conservative majority and a 6-3 Republican favor, that they are walking towards revisiting Roe in a significant way. Now, that will set off alarm bells across the country. It'll make things very different between, say, Texas and California. It'll make things very different between blue states and red states. Democrats are worried about that. Republicans want to use that as a rallying cry. But clearly, this court is moving to a place that is going to revisit Roe and the parameters around that. This case starts that, but the Mississippi case, likely to be decided next June, is really going to be that place where we'll probably see new parameters of Roe. There's a deep divide on this court. That deep divide that we saw today in the opinions that came out is reflected by Chief Justice of the court, Justice Roberts, who's really concerned about what the Texas bill does and the ability of states to nullify court rulings. This is much broader than just the issue of abortion and about the legitimacy of the court. That's also at stake here for what's going on.
But also, what does this mean for women in not just Texas, but in America, and for women's right to choose? And, you think we're in 2021 going to 2022, many women would have surely thought, well, this is over. I'm in a country where I'm safe to do what I will with my body.
Right. This is going to be a divide that we're going to see as evident in 2022 in those midterms, like we saw in 2018 in the midterms. Usually the party in power loses seats in a midterm election. That means that suburban women outside of Atlanta, women outside of Denver or outside of Vegas, they're going to be hugely important in terms of making their voice known around this issue. That divide between red and blue is going to get deeper, and that means that suburban women in those purple areas, those areas that might have voted one way and then flip another, they're going to decide what's going on in terms of future direction. And the court is trying to stay out of that fight, but it's really hard to do, especially for something 50 years in like Roe. That's why you also saw the vice president front and center for the Biden administration today, because they want to, if you will, excite that base.
David McCuan, great to get your take on all of this live to us there from Sonoma. Thank you so much.